So this is Gearcast episode mother one. Can't say that word because they'll demonetize you and stuff. Anyway, we're gonna be talking about nightmare gigs. And before we started recording, you were telling me about one. Why don't you go ahead and elaborate on that?
The stage volume one.
Yeah.
All right, so like we're going through the night, and like this venue's like it's small, so we can hear ourselves. Like I can hear my amps fine, can hear the monitors, and it's always like that place is always we always have issues between us getting our stage volume where it's acceptable that we're not blowing the windows out, and being able to be heard in the monitors for the PA for the vocals. So we're going through this show. I'm like, all right, we're going good. We closed with "Bury Me in Smoke" by Down, and my drummer just like the whole time, like we already had a cymbal stand break, and I threw it across the room, and he's just like this, and he missed the whole second verse and chorus and went right into the outro jam part of that song.
You're like, yeah, I guess we're jamming now.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm big on like you can rehearse as much as you want, but you have to be able to improvise. Like you got to play off each other. So I'm like sitting there, I'm like, dude, there's another verse. There's another verse. And finally, we just ended the song. And like a week later, him and I are talking, and he goes, "We got to work on our stage volume again." I said, "Yeah, it's fine. You know why?" He's like, "Dude, I didn't hear you the entire show." I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, the last two shows, because like a lot of venues, like you'll set up with a rig like ours, and it's like turn it down just a little bit down, a little bit down. It's like, all right. Or you barely get, you know what I mean? Like you don't really have a lot of time to sound check. Um, he's like, I've been going off of your hand positions for the last three shows.
Nice.
Oh, that explains it.
Yeah. We had one kind of me and the bass player. Like we had a rhythm guitar player, but he'd been playing the songs for like because he started the band. He'd been playing for 5 years. The
Mm-hmm.
same because he played the same set list for 5 years straight, not changing shit. So he knew his shit. But the drummer, it was like a Disturbed song, and like the breakdown is one of those syncopated like and
Mm-hmm.
so you got to be like everybody has to be on those hits, but the drummer wouldn't learn the hits, and he would just like do whatever he wanted to there. He's like, fuck it, it's a bar gig, man. We'll do what we want. So me and the bass player, like we would have to stop at that section and stare at each other in the face and be like, trying to like nod our heads to how many times we're supposed to do the hits, just to get through this one like 8 bar measure or whatever. And it's like all it was. It was like a tiny section of the song. Everything else was stock beats, but the drummer wouldn't learn it. So
Well, they're one of those, like, at least they used to be, because they were all over the radio when I was like in, high school and all that. I don't know if they still are. God, I can't tell you the last time I actually listened to a Disturbed song. But
I
like,
never for
yeah,
me.
what can I say? I was like 12 years old. But they really used to be a band that the guitar and the drummer played off of each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was one of those kind of riffs where the drummer needed to be there with you to get the
Yeah.
power of the riff, and it was like, dude, if you're just doing a straight boom, boom, it's like, dude, we're going. We don't need a boom, boom. Like, so it was horrible. I'll tell you another funny one is do you know that song Alice in Chains song Stone?
Hmm.
And it's one of those like boom, 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 and it's like a lot of bends and the whole it like changes the structure of the rhythm. And it's not really like a solid thing. It's very like fluid.
Yeah.
And I joined this band and they were like, I don't know, do you like cover bands? I just dislike cover bands because they have this whole we're rock star vibe. And he's like, yeah, man, if you're going to be in the band, you've already talked the talk. You got to walk the walk. We're playing the show in 2 weeks. And I'm like, cool. So how many songs am I playing? And they're like, the whole set because their other guitar player was quitting. And he's like, if you're going to be in, you got to be ready. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I need 4 hours of music in 2 weeks. I didn't know any of the songs like up to this point. Well, no, I knew a Poison song and a Danzig song.
Hmm.
I didn't know anything else. And so we get to that song, and I'm doing all the bends in the wrong places and all the other notes, and the bass player's coming at me. He's like, "Watch my hands," and I'm like, "That's not gonna help. Like, it's just not today. It's not gonna help."
Oh, dude, I tell you, that's like the band I just joined. The one I came in, we opened for these guys, really cool dudes. And the lead singer Martin, he's like, me and him hit it off. He's like, "Hey man, I'm looking for another guitarist." I'm like, "All right, well, got stuff going on this summer. I'll maybe hit you up later. I'd be interested." And he's like, need a sec. We need a lead guitar player. Can you play leads? I'm like, nope. He's like, can you play the single note bullshit I play? I'm like, sure.
I
So,
can
anyways,
today.
like, yeah. So, like, I hit him up out of the blue. He's like, yeah, this is when rehearsals are. I went and I did the solo acoustic thing I do, the like Scott H. Byram set, and jumped on stage, did a Nirvana cover with them and whatnot, and worked with him, got a good feel for a lot of the songs, but it was hard to make a lot of practices, like when we were first starting. So, like, I'll show you, like, this is the trick, because like our bassist, he's really good about it. If, like you're struggling on something or something like that, he'll do the hand thing, like, "Oh, hey, I'll make sure you can see me." I'm like, "Thanks, man." Um, but oh god, I lost my train of thought on that one. That was actually a good. But anyways, yeah, like we went up there, and like I tried to make what practice I could, but I just was not having the time that I could make it work to make, because our band practice was in one town, and then like if I wanted to go work on my parts, I'd have to be in another town. So I like walk in, first time I'm hanging out with Martin. I've listened to his music. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this stuff he's playing solos on. And I'm like, "Hey man, I got a better idea." He goes, "What's that?" I said, "You like Nirvana, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "What if I was like Pat Smear, where I just kind of like show up and play the rhythm parts and do background vocals?" He's like, "Dude, that's genius. Like, that's what I want." I'm like, "Good." But
Because you're not getting
also,
the leads you want from me, sir.
yeah. But I also, there's a valuable trick I've learned over the years when you're presented with that. If you look here at this Les Paul, see, this is called a volume knob. And when you go into a section of a song, fun fact, if you just turn that all the way down, nobody can hear your guitar. It's like, it's like, him and I were talking, he's like, "You sure already?" I said, "I don't know, man. There's some parts I don't know." He's like, "I need you to do vocals. I had COVID. I'm still getting my voice back." He was out a while vocally with that because of that. I'm like, "Yeah, cool, man. I'll do that." So like we're on stage.
Right?
Nah.
I had that happen to me on accident. My fucking my pedal, something in my pedal board stopped working in the middle of a song. Like we're on
Hmm.
stage, so like it cuts out, and the other guitar player's like, and I'm like, so we keep playing, like, well, they keep playing, I keep miming it. I'm standing there acting like I'm
Hmm.
playing the song all the way to the end, and I'm just, yeah, this is good. Nobody was like, oh, the guitar player, he cut out because there was two of us. So
Hmm.
then I unplugged everything, and that's when I decided I was no longer going to use a Bugera V22 to go play hard rock gigs. Because once I unplugged all of my distortion pedals, it was like, okay, now I have to play some 3 Days Grace and some Danzig and shit, and
Hmm.
I got to do it with a vintage Fender tone. This is gonna be great.
It's amazing,
Yeah, and I
dude.
got a tone for days.
That is always like I uh I always make sure I have a backup, some sort of backup stomp box distortion. Like I that's one thing like I don't think a lot of people understand is like how important it is to test all of your gear, because I had one. I played a show on a Friday night, right, with my one band, and then we came back Saturday night with the other band. This is a good horror story. It's like it's going all right. I'm missing some cues. I'm still a little unfamiliar with the music. We threw in like two songs I hadn't played. No, we only threw in one song I hadn't played before or something like that. And I had these wireless units I was using, and I thought they were both turned off, but I was like, I should maybe charge these. No, it'll be all right. Well, the one turned on because it was in my pocket. They're like those like small Joyo ones, like the ones you
Yeah.
can get for $100. And middle of the song, and it's the one song I wrote leads to or had leads to, and I was doing the lead stuff. That wireless unit just died. So middle of the song, I'm running over talking to one of the guys in the crew. I'm like, give me a quick cable. What? Give me a cable. Why? Don't worry about it. It's like they're playing the song and I'm on the floor. No, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna get fired.
Right.
And
This show's over.
yeah, and it was so funny because usually I'm very anal about that. Like it's I've seen enough horror stories, and that one it's funny because earlier before we went live we were talking about that RE20
Yeah.
um microphone. My dude Martin used to take one of those live. He swore that was the secret to a great live time, was like he had a really nice condenser mic. And those are great mics. They're good for cabs, they're good for vocals, voiceovers, what you're doing with it. And in the video, the drummer at the time, like if he was really into it, he'd flip his drum kit. And like you gotta understand, this guy's like 6, I don't even know how tall. So, and I'm 5'8", so like this dude just towers over me. And sure enough, it's a small venue, and it's the same one where that wireless unit went out. He flips that Tama, like really expensive Tama kit, and the cymbals come crashing down, and then Matt goes crashing down, and then falling down, Matt takes out the mic stand with the $300 Electro Voice microphone on it.
Nice.
So needless to say, it has been retired from stage use after that show.
You're laying on top of the mic broken. Just send me the bill, dude. I got you.
No, no, it's like, dude, I'm really sorry about your luck.
But
That's
I'm not
terrible,
paying for that
bro.
shit.
I can uh I can give you my thoughts and prayers, Border.
Right? That's what I can do for you. So
Nah,
I was,
he was cool about it.
yeah. I was telling the other day, like I guess it was yesterday, and I figure it's good for this little podcast here about the gig, man. Remember I was telling you about the biker gig. Never got to the end of that story, so I'm gonna go through the first half quick. Like, played a biker gig, biker titties everywhere, biker president yelling at us, biker captain yelling at us. Supposed to be played for free because the guitar player was a prospect. Okay, that's pretty much the backstory. We're getting free drink tickets, so we're all getting pretty drunk. The cops show up. Every woman in the entire biker club had to go hide in a trailer, and they locked them in a trailer till the cops left. All right, so that's back up to where we were before the power went out yesterday. We let them out of the trailer. Go back to the show. We're sitting down. Actually, yeah, we go back to the show, but we're doing our little 15-minute break,
Hmm.
and the bikers come running up. Hey, man, you gotta come get the drummer's girl, and we're like, oh, fuck, because she's a firecracker, and we
Hmm.
knew she did something. We're like, well, what the fuck did she do, man? And he's like, well, she slapped one of our bikers, one of our brothers, and we're like, we're gonna get killed. We're gonna get killed here right now in this club. And so we're like, oh my god, dude, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. And he was like, no, no, man, everything's cool. Dude deserved it. And I'm like, well, okay, so how did he deserve it? And he said, well, he walked up to her and slapped her on the ass, and she slapped him in the mouth. He's,
Mm.
he's like, so we're gonna call it no harm, no foul, but you better come get her because she's cussing everybody out. We're like, oh shit. So we go get her, but there for like a good 5-10 minutes, we were like, are we going to get our fucking asses stomped in a fucking biker bar today? Like, for no reason? So yeah, that was probably the worst one because we didn't know from the moment we got there to the moment we left how that night was going to go. Because these were real bikers. These weren't like wannabe bikers. They were the real ones.
Yeah, it's always. Well, that was what. Oh, I told you about. Now, this wasn't really a nightmare gig, but like the first time, because we were talking yesterday too before we lost everything, we had to start again.
Yep.
Um, we were talking like, some of the downfalls of gigging, like late nights are always a pain. And I got real lucky because when I started gigging, I was in my mid 20s. Like I finally, decided a buddy of mine got a hold of me. I'd been doing photography for shows for a few months. He's like, you know, I need a bassist. I'm like, all right, yeah, we'll try it. So our first, well, let me backtrack a little bit there. So I wasn't like drinking at all for like 2 years. 2 years completely stone cold, no alcohol. And he was doing the same thing. So, but he was friends with this punk rock drinking club
Nice.
that own a fantastic restaurant. Shout out to Porky's and Etna. The place is amazing. And so our first gig is for one of the members that passed, and we really weren't ready with the material yet. But it was like, yeah, we'll do this for your buddy. And I went. It's still COVID, still a thing. So we go, we play. It's pretty good. It's like my first time on stage playing original music. Playing and not like in school band or anything. It's my first time like actually performing.
Right.
It's great, getting the exchange with the people. They're very passionate about rock and music in general. And there's a whole back room of this abandoned warehouse thing that is just full of kegs of beer and then like two party buckets with just not fits, but handles. Not wine, but liquor. So we
Nice.
got done, and after our set, I told the guys, I'm like, look, my girl's not comfortable being here with all this. I'll play the gig. I'll take all of our gear and run it back to our rehearsal space, save you guys the headache, and then you guys can party down. So we left, and then the pictures started coming up the next day. And one of the first pictures I see is in the ceiling rafters like these here. My singer slash guitar player is up there crawling around. And then there's more pictures of ceiling tiles being smashed over people's heads. And
Nice.
they just destroyed that place when they were done, dude. Like, it was insane.
You want a punk rock show? We'll show you a punk rock show, motherfucker.
Like, yeah, it was one of those things. It's like, if I was younger and like still drinking, I probably would have done something like, it is when you're young and you're bulletproof. You have a couple drinks in you and everything's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that looks like fun. I want to get up there. I probably would have like broken a leg or something.
Right. It's like I don't know, man. Like as bad as some gigs are, um, it's weird how like one little moment can like change people's lives and shit with it. Because I moved to this small ass town and they had a couple bands there. It was weird. Like the town was very tiny, maybe 600 people. Like it was fucking tiny. They had like two street lights, and but they had like four bands in this tiny ass little town. But they were all very
Hmm.
naive and playing like safe music, and they were calling the show sock hops. That's how like weird the vibe was. And I showed
Hmm.
up, and I was into heavy music, and none of them were into heavy music, and so like the dude was like, "Hey, you play music? Come up on the stage and do this song with us." And I was like, "All right." Grabbed the mic, and I'm like, I started screaming and stuff. And I get out in the audience, and I'm like mosh pitting, slamming everybody, and none of them knew what the fuck was going on. They were like, "What is this shit?" So I go sit down, and it's like I'm sitting down in the bleachers because it was like at an old gym. and a whole crew of kids come walking up to me, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta fight these kids because I was, we were all young, like teenagers, and they were like, dude, what was that you were doing? I was like, oh, moshing and slam dancing, man. Oh, that's the shit. I love that, and that vocal, like, what was that? So like, I showed them all the stuff, and then like all their bands started getting heavier and heavier, and it was like, it was kind of cool to be like, man, like one little fucking scream and mosh pit changed everybody's lives. So it's not a nightmare story. I guess it could be for their parents. They were like,
Those kids went on to form Slayer.
one of them. Well, I guess it is a nightmare. One of them ended up um, heavily addicted to drugs, cocaine, mushroom, any kind of psychedelics you could get in his yard because like his grandmother died, so he got to inherit the house, which is right next to his parents' house, and he's out in the bushes masturbating, butt ass naked and high, and parents had to come get him to go back inside because like, he just wouldn't go inside. And he's actually subscribed, so I hope he doesn't watch this.
I mean, it's not like you're name dropping them or anything,
But yeah, it was like that was the best thing about that. That dude was. I heard that story, and it was like when you heard the story, nobody was like, "Holy shit!" Everybody was like, "That tracks." You know,
That scans.
that's right on point. Like you didn't even fuck up right there, dude. That was you.
Oh man, I tell you, like you say about cover bands, right?
Yeah,
Like I I think the weirdest thing about I don't know if it's like you've experienced this, but it's like obviously cover bands are always going to be the bands that make the money. You know what I mean? Like I know
yeah.
cover bands are making $150 to $300 per person, but they got to play like 3 sets.
I need to play where you play because it was like $100 a man down there. Oh
Yeah,
shit!
it's wild. Like country clubs and stuff. Like I've seen, or like golf. I know there's one golf course up here. They pay pretty decent per person for like 3 hours. So like you'll talk to people. It's like, oh, I saw this local band. It's like, all right, cool. What, where are they playing? Because like I'm trying to write down like venues. Like, oh,
Right?
really? And then it's like, oh yeah, they play like cover sets, and as soon as they say, well, they cover, it's like, no, because then you got to explain to people like, oh man, I maybe I'll see them sometime, like at a show or something, but I doubt it because like I play at originals venues,
Yeah, they never
and
really seem to like overlap very much. Like,
no, isn't that weird? Like I know there's some people, there's always that one person online. It's like, oh well, we're in a covers band, but we let original bands open for us and help them out and get on stage and. It's like that's great, man, but that's not like indicative of everybody. Like I got nothing against cover bands, you want to go out and sing "Welcome to the Jungle," like go for it, my guy. I hope the wings are great at that place.
what I didn't like about it, it was like they all acted like they were rock stars. Like it was weird. Like they felt like they were better than the original bands. Like the cover bands felt like they were better. It seemed like, and they always had like this attitude about them. And I'm like, dude, you're a jukebox, is what you are. Like none of that shit is you. Like you didn't create any of that. And then some of them, even like the stage moves, would be like the same stage moves, and it's like there's nothing of you in this. Like, why are you so cocky? But they were cocky down there.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like it's very weird to me the way that like how well a cover band sells, especially like a tribute band. You know what I mean? Like
That's the ones that really get paid, the tribute guys.
yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like I could get um like a Sabbath tribute band. Like everybody gave Zach Wild a lot of flack when he did Zach Sabbath. It's like, well, he's got a killer backing band with him. You know what I mean? They're just going out and playing Sabbath tunes, and I think they mainly gigged like after Sabbath's farewell tour.
Yeah, and that's the
Well,
thing. Like you
like
got
their
me.
eighth farewell tour or whatever.
You got a soft spot for me. Like if anybody, I feel like if anybody has the right to go do it, it should be Zach, just because he played with Ozzy. Like he's got that connection to the lineage,
Hmm.
that I don't understand why people gave him hell. It's like, dude, he's been playing Sabbath songs for 20 years of his career with Ozzy. Like, that's the guy to give a pass to, you know?
Yeah, that's what like I don't know, man. Like I've got a soft spot for Zach. You know what I mean? Like I remember like what was it? The first vehicle I ever had was a 2004 F-150. And I remember I went through all my dad's old CDs and cassettes, and I found No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne. And that track only had a cassette deck, so it was that time where like CDs were transitioning mainly to MP3s. Like iTunes had just kind of come out. So I ran that cassette like left and right because I couldn't find any other cassettes anywhere at that point. I was too broke to afford the little adapter thing.
Right? You know, like, I'm listening to this every day, all day.
Oh man, I wore that. I wore that out, and I remember too. I stole his copy of his CD version of Paranoid. I used to
Nice.
listen to that like all the time. And so like with Zach, it's like I can't fault the guy. You know what I mean? Like he's on one of my all-time favorite records. You know,
Right?
like that No More Tears solo with the slide.
Yep.
It sounds like dolphins or something. I don't even know how to describe it. I always thought it was like, is
It's
that a
like,
dolphin or a
meow,
whale?
meow,
Yeah.
meow. There's another, I interviewed Emily Burton years ago when I had another channel. She was from Fireball Ministry, but I think they still play, but she also does Black Sabbath, and it's called Bitches because they're all females.
Yeah, they were
Fire.
coming. I think they're coming to town soon, up this way.
Yeah, if you get a chance, that'd be one to go watch because she's like from the scene.
Hmm.
So like SGs, Orange Amps, she's got the stuff. Like it's gonna be a good tone, you know. And
Yeah, what was it? No, good, good.
I was just all I was gonna say. It's a good tone and a good vibe. You'll be like, oh shit. So
I'll tell you, you know, another one that's really good, that's all female is Les Zeppelin.
I've not heard of that one. I have to check that out.
They're really like they've been around a while, and there's another one called the Iron Maidens, which I
Oh
know
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nita Strauss has played live with them, and
Who's
I
that
don't
other
know
chick?
what's that.
Who's that other chick in the band? Because there's two girls. Well, it was Nita and the other one's getting famous now too. I can't remember her name.
Oh man, it's
Isn't she the
hard.
one that went to like go play with Machine Gun Kelly or something? The other Iron Maidens chick.
I
Guess I should.
don't know.
Who did she play with?
I'm not a big Machine Gun Kelly fan like you are.
No, you know he's my fucking. Me and Machine Gun, we'd be like this, man. I gotta look it up
You're the
now.
one.
'Cause, like I'm pretty sure she got into a major mainstream band. Let's see here. Iron Maiden's band members. Let's go to members here. No, I guess not, dude. Like, oh no, yeah, Adriana Smith. Her real name was Courtney Cox. So Courtney Cox. Who was Courtney Cox in?
Friends.
No, it was a different Courtney Cox. Yeah. Both they kind of favor too. Let's see, guitarist Courtney Cox. I'm telling you, she was with somebody famous. I swear she was. I'm probably wrong. Maybe it's just from YouTube because she had like a YouTube thing for a while too. Uh, she's actually from like your area, man. She's from
Where at?
Philadelphia.
That is not my area, bro. I'm on the other side of the state.
But it's your state, man. It's closer to you than it is to me. You know?
I'm gonna tell you, you used to live up here. You know, for what, St. Pete? Is
Yeah.
that where you lived?
No, I was up in
Man,
Schwenksville and King of Prussia.
Schwenksville. This state has the weirdest town names. Like you got Birmingham and all that, but like
Yeah.
you know, there is a difference between Philadelphia and like the woods.
Yeah. There's a big difference. Because
Yeah, that's what.
where was I at? It was Um, Jersey Shore. You ever heard of a place called Jersey Shore?
Yeah, I did some work not too far from there.
Spent a lot of time there, and that's definitely in the woods. It's sticks as it gets. You drive through this like tunnel in the mountain to get there, and then it's like your date is like, go see my uncle at his farm, and we're gonna castrate pigs. That's the first time we're gonna hang out together. You're like, I mean, I'm not cutting pigs' balls off, but I'll go with you because if that's what floats your boat, you know.
This could be an interesting addition to my life.
Right? I'm gonna go castrate balls, and nah, it was that was the horrible day. But he was drunk, man. Pick up, and he would fly us down the mountain. Like we weren't allowed to get in the truck with him. We had to sit in the cab. So it's just like down the fucking windy mountain, sitting in the back, like, oh shit. Did I say cab? We were in the bed. It was good times.
Damn.
It's
Yeah,
not.
well, good.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say like I got like Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, the Iron Maidens. The other thing they do too is like I get it. It's an all female version of all male bands, but like I think their big sell points is one, they're very good. Like they're so freaking good. Like they just nail it.
Yeah.
But vocally, it's really cool to listen to a band, especially from that era, like with Maiden and Zeppelin or Sabbath. It's really interesting to hear a female vocalist tackle those songs. I mean, Maiden in particular is really cool because it's so close.
Yeah.
And even Zeppelin, Plant had a really, really cool, like very high voice. But
It's
like
like Ozzy's kind of got almost. It's almost like a feminine vibe to his voice a little bit when you listen to it. Like it's because it's not that it's feminine, but it's high pitched, which is more like typically their register.
hmm
So it fits a female's typical register better it does than most men. Because look at Axl Rose's voice. Like he was supposed to be down like here, like he was supposed to be Phil Anselmo, but he was trying to go high, where most females are supposed to be high, typically. So it kind of works
Yeah.
out for him.
Well, and the other thing they benefit from too is like I think that's kind of where I get with like the cover band thing is if it's a band that's defunct or way too giant and expensive to like go get a reasonable ticket. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
do you imagine what tickets would have cost for the Black Sabbath final tour?
probably
Yeah,
not as much as the tickets for the Metallica tour right now. I bet.
oh my gosh. Those have been like interesting because like the highest priced ones, like there's like a lot of amenities they're including with that. Like you get a private like party room, free drink, like drinks and stuff all night, and
Nice.
it's like you and five people too. So it's like five tickets plus food and drink plus you meet the band. Like it's ridiculous though. Like,
It's $1,000 easy.
dude, I remember I looked at a show recently down at, I don't know if you ever heard of it from where you were at, but Star Lake in Pittsburgh.
Nuh-uh. I never went to Pittsburgh at all.
Okay. Well, that's what it used to be called. It's this big amphitheater. It's where all the massive tours go through. And it's either that or like the football stadium, like Heinz Field. And anyways, I remember I was looking at a show my one friend wanted to go to. And it used to be like $45 lawn tickets all day. If you had some testicular fortitude, you might be able to sneak into the actual like pavilion itself, find some seats that aren't yours. Then you find some others. Like you could like sneak around and get up there.
Right.
It's like $45. They're like 85 before taxes and fees now, just for a lawn seat.
Fuck that.
I can't believe paying like I can't even believe that. I was like mad about that to like no just to like the nth degree.
Yeah,
Can't imagine paying like what $500 to go see Metallica, and I actually like Metallica.
right. I'd go, but not for the price, man. It's not gonna happen. Because I was
Yeah.
supposed to go in the '90s when what was the album? When the Black album came out. I
Hmm.
got grounded though because I had a bad report card. So it was gonna be Metallica, Guns N' Roses, and Faith No More, and that was like the show. So that would have been a badass show. Like I wanted to see Faith No More bad, but like I had all D's, and my dad was like, "Yeah, you're not going." It's like, "But
That's
Dad, I
better
already
than my
paid for it."
dude. That's better than my Faith No More story. Uh, I'll give you one better, just so like that one sucks. COVID, COVID did
Yep.
me in. They were gonna go play with Corn, which I can sit through a Corn show. You know what I mean? Because they're in that similar vein. I dig a lot of old Corn stuff. Um, but I was gonna shoot that show, so I was working for this media company out of Pittsburgh, and she was gonna put in to get me in the photo pit, and it got canceled because of COVID. All right, whatever. So a year rolls around. Faith No More was opening for Corn. Like I said, Corn was not coming through the area. I think they started touring with Shinedown after that. They did like a makeup tour kind of deal. I don't know, but Faith No More was actually going to headline a smaller venue, and they only had like 5 USA dates. Ever since I was a teenager in high school, I've wanted to see Faith No More live. Like they were broken up at that point. Their reunion tour was actually their first reunion was when I was graduating high school.
Oh shit.
And I remember like watching bootleg or like the official videos on like YouTube and stuff of them playing. They were like playing Reunited by Peaches and Cream to
Yeah,
open
yeah.
the set. And dude, I was so excited. I'm like, finally, Faith No More. That's like my one of my all-time 100% bucket list bands. And then unfortunately, Mike had to cancel like all the tour commitments because of his anxieties and stuff. And it's like, man, I really respect the fact that like this guy, he's a big name legacy performer, is willing to come out and not say, "Oh, it's health issues or a family crisis or whatever." He's like, "Look, my head's not straight for this. I can't do it. I need to get myself right." And it's like, I respect that. I think more people need to hear more famous people say that. But why was it the one time I was going to see them?
I was gonna say like
It's like, why?
I'm pretty fucking salty about that because my wife's daughter she bought all of us tickets for Christmas. That was gonna be our Christmas present. We're all gonna go to that Faith No More show. And like 2 days before our show was supposed to happen is when Mike Patton made that announcement. And I ain't gonna lie, I was selfish. I was like, you couldn't go 2 more fucking days, dude. Just 2 more fucking days, man. I wanted my show. So
I,
she got her money back and everything, but I was like, ah,
I think it's one of those things, though. It's like, I guess it's like good, like that it. Like I think it's cool because most people I see online or people that talked about it, they're pretty positive about it. Like yeah, it's a bummer,
yeah,
but we want to see the guy healthy, and I think it speaks to the level of the band that no major radio airplay in except for Epic in years.
yeah. I mean, it's
You
good it
know,
happened because he could have ended up like fucking Chris Cornell or Chester. What's that guy's name? Chester Bennington or whatever.
Bennington, yeah,
Yeah, he could have ended up like that, but he was like, you know what? I'm sitting it out. Yeah,
yeah, and that's what I really respect it because like for me when I was younger, Patton was a huge influence. His lyrics. I remember I found at a local record store, I found a copy of Angel Dust, and I knew like Epic, and that was it. And I think I had at one point heard Midlife Crisis,
right.
and that was still like I said earlier, iTunes and all that was just coming in. Like your parents had to have 401ks for you to have iTunes. And like
No.
you had this I had the Sony MP3 player, 2 gigabytes, and it was still you picked a CD and you kind of guessed what was on it and hoped for the best. It was kind of
Yeah, 'cause
how it
you had to
was.
pay for it. Like you had to, or yeah, like what, like a 30-second sample or something. Like they weren't like full streams, was it? Like it was like,
Like you could get some, like you could get like bootlegs. That's back when YouTube still had pornographic materials on it.
yeah, that was a good time period.
That was the golden age.
So,
Sorry, that was a flashback. But yeah, no,
right?
you couldn't like stream it even like some places you could stream it at the store, but this was like a locally owned place.
Yeah,
So it was like, okay, I've got 20 or like $30. I can get 2 to 3 CDs. So I remember that day I went in, I think it was Korn's Greatest Hits. Um, no, it wasn't. Sorry. Trying to think. I bought a lot of CDs from that place, but it was like I went in there. I got a Les Claypool album. It was a Fungi and Foe, one of his solo albums.
nice.
The dude from System of a Down, Serge Tankian, it was his first solo album,
Yeah,
and Faith No More, Angel Dust. Of those three, Angel Dust is still like that album legit changed everything for me. I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
right. It's one of the best albums of all time.
But yeah,
Nice.
no, there was a thing with Ulrich, like it was an Onion. It was an Onion article or Hard Times News, like something effective like Metallica boy shares video of him playing Enter Sandman online. Lars Ulrich from Metallica shows up at his home and personally hands him a cease and desist order.
Nice. Like, here you go, guys. You're stealing my music, dude.
Oh,
Well, I feel
they
like,
did
I
that.
don't know. We got 55 minutes into it, so maybe we should end this one and then do the other one. Like, not
The
end
what?
it, but like fake end it right now. And then,
Do a
like,
transition.
yeah.
Yeah, give it a few minutes there.
Because 3:30 comes early. So I
Three
gotta go.
thirty.
Yeah, I get up at 3:30 in the morning every day for work.
That's what time you start.
Yeah.